Drassa crosses a day off a notepad inside a dirt trench. She aims her rifle through thick ferns as a plane lands. A man exits the aircraft and is instantly shot. Levi wakes up sweating and breathing heavily inside his room. He sits on a dark beach while writing in a notebook. A friendly dog approaches before he checks a text message. The message orders him to report to Camp Pendleton. An SUV drops him off at the large military base. Levi formally salutes Agent Bartholomew inside a dim office. She reviews his elite sniper file and notes his isolation. She then offers him a classified private military contract. In Lithuania, Drassa greets her father in a quiet cemetery. She places a red rose on a grave and they drink beers. Her father reveals his cancer is now completely untreatable. He plans to end his life on Valentine's Day. Months later, Levi wakes up inside a military cargo plane. He quickly pulls a clear IV tube from his hand. He asks a soldier about their exact current location. She refuses to answer and opens a secure metal lockbox. Levi places his personal items inside the small container. She tells him they are entering a restricted flight zone. He straps on a backpack and leaps from the open ramp. He deploys a white parachute over the snowy mountain range. After landing safely, Levi begins a strenuous hiking journey. He scales a jagged rock wall over raging river rapids. He builds a campfire inside a cave and continues walking. The next morning, he navigates through a foggy pine forest. Levi reaches the edge of a massive fog-filled gorge. He stares down into the swirling mist below. A man in a camouflage jacket soon approaches. This is JD, the current guard here. They shake hands while standing in the forest. JD explains he has been stationed here for a year. He still has no idea where they actually are. The men walk toward a weathered concrete tower. JD points out their off-grid living setup. The tower relies on solar panels and a backup generator. They utilize a rainwater system and a vegetable garden. JD mentions there is plenty of wild game nearby. Across the vast gorge stands an identical east tower. JD warns Levi never to contact the other guard. Tactical barriers block the northern and southern ends completely. The area is heavily mined, making crossing impossible. Inside the dimly lit tower, JD details the job. Levi must walk the western rim every single day. He needs to reload automated gun turrets along the edge. He must also inspect the containment fence and suspended mines. JD shows Levi a handheld signal cloaking device. These gadgets send fake signals to hide the gorge from satellites. Levi will receive a brief radio check every 30 days. No other outside communication is permitted for the guards. This secret operation dates back to the Cold War. Several nations formed a coalition to hide this place. Even presidents are kept completely in the dark. JD states their only mission is to prevent anything from escaping the gorge. A screech echoes from the misty gorge. JD explains the guards call these creatures a hollow men. He felt crazy until he finally saw them. The military sent 3 horseback battalions inside during the 1940s. Nobody returned, so they focus entirely on containment. Later, JD hikes across a field and drops a red smoke flare. A helicopter flies over and drops a rope. JD hooks a carabiner to his harness and rises. A soldier asks for his identity. JD shouts the blue arrow code. The soldier immediately shoots him. JD falls back into the gorge. An October title card appears. Levi settles into his routine. He patrols the rusted wire fence and maintains the radar dish. At the radio desk, Levi authenticates his code. The voice asks for his status. Levi reports the area is secure, and the transmission abruptly ends. Later, Levi picks red tomatoes. He peers through mounted binoculars. He watches a dark-haired woman sawing a log. Levi jolts awake from a nightmare and knocks a glass onto the floor. He grabs his assault rifle before a sharp pain hits his bare foot. He pulls glass from his bleeding toe and realizes it is a false alarm. Across the dark gorge, Drassa sits entirely alone by candlelight. She notices him watching her through binoculars and quickly turns away. During November, Drassa lights a candle over a makeshift birthday cake. She blows the flame out and fires her pistol upward. Drassa holds up a large notepad sign asking for his name. He writes back that contact between them is strictly forbidden. Drassa reveals her name and declares she will do whatever she wants. Levi smiles and shares his own name on his notepad. He raises a metal mug for a silent birthday toast. Drassa puts a vinyl record on a turntable and dances happily. She holds up another sign asking to see his dance moves. Levi writes a reply that he is a terrible dancer. He flips the page to call himself a pretty good shot. Drassa accepts the challenge and readies her own assault rifle. She completely blasts Levi's metal canteen off his balcony railing. Levi quickly returns the favor with a very clean shot. The green glass bottle on Drassa's railing shatters into pieces. She playfully balances another bottle on her head to continue. She suddenly stops moving and peers down into the gorge. Something unusual is moving around in the dark shadows below. Levi spots bizarre tree-like creatures scaling the gorge wall through his scope. He fires, causing a monster to plummet into a spiked mine. A massive fireball erupts and knocks most creatures off the cliff. Levi continues firing at the few monsters still crawling upward. Drassa rushes out with a heavy machine gun to provide cover. Working together, they manage to quickly clear the canyon wall. Suddenly, a creature creature lunges over the metal railing on Drossa's balcony. She draws her handgun and fires multiple shots into its chest. The wounded monster tumbles backward into the deep, dark abyss. The strange creatures now start scaling her side of the gorge. Both soldiers immediately resume firing to hold the attackers back. Levi shoots a climber, dropping it onto another spiked mine. The huge explosion rocks the canyon, sending jagged shrapnel flying. The metal strikes Drossa in the shoulder, and she collapses. Levi watches in panic as she manages to stand back up. More monsters swarm up both walls simultaneously to attack them. The soldiers man their automated machine guns to defend the towers. Laser tripwires trigger more mines, and fiery explosions wipe out the attackers. The next morning, Drossa sits inside her dim room treating her injuries. She pours clear liquid onto her wound before holding up a notepad. Her handwritten sign declares it to be her best birthday ever. Levi hangs from a rope outside to replace the destroyed explosives. A sleek drone suddenly ascends from the foggy depths and flies away. Levi holds up a sign inviting her to dinner. He attaches a pulley and zips across the gap. The device jams halfway across the gorge. Levi uses his gloves to pull himself along the cable. He lands safely and gives Drossa some white flowers. She jokes about his sweat, so he showers. Drossa leaves him a suit to wear. Later, they drink wine at a small table. They discuss their past mercenary jobs. Levi puts a record on the turntable. They sway together in the candlelight. Soon, they share a kiss and make love. Levi slides along the zip line toward his side of the deep gorge. A fiery explosion suddenly rips through his concrete wall, and the thick cable snaps instantly. Levi plummets backward into the fog, so he quickly deploys his parachute to slow his fall. Drossa watches in panic from her balcony before sprinting into her dark armory. She grabs rifles and straps on her parachute gear without any hesitation. She leaps off the concrete ledge and freefalls through the gray clouds. She splashes into a violent river below where the current drags her fiercely. Her canopy catches on submerged rocks, so Drossa frantically draws her knife. She cuts the tangled lines and bursts above the surface while gasping for air. The rushing rapids sweep her over a rocky waterfall. She tumbles through the water before grabbing a thick tree root. She desperately pulls her tired body ashore. Meanwhile, Levi hangs upside down in a foggy forest while unconscious and tangled in a tree. A wooden creature crawls along the branch above him, causing Levi to open his eyes. He swiftly draws his sidearm and fires directly at the monster. He slashes his straps and falls heavily, landing on a patch of spongy red ground. The strange ground shifts beneath him as jagged teeth curl upward around his body. The massive hidden mouth slowly begins closing tightly over him. Drossa suddenly emerges from the yellow fog with her rifle. She aims her weapon and fires multiple shots, effectively rescuing Levi from the trap. Drossa uses a knife to scrape the sticky substance off Levi. They walk into the foggy forest until a screech echoes. Two wooden monsters appear riding terrifying, tree-like horses. One rider leaps off and tackles Drossa to the dirt. She stabs the creature's neck and shoots its face. The second rider uses a whip to steal Levi's rifle. Levi quickly draws his handgun and fires repeatedly. He shoots the horse and rider, bringing them down. Drossa searches her backpack and notices her auto-ascender is missing. It must have fallen into the rushing river. The gorge walls are impossible to climb without it. Drossa suggests they follow the river to an exit. Levi inspects the dead rider and finds an airborne patch. These hollow men are the Lost Horseback Battalions. The duo treks past wooden statues frozen in place. Soon they discover a ruined town covered in vines. Huge ground cracks show signs of an old earthquake. More screeching suddenly rings out from the heavy mist. They quickly sprint toward a decaying church to hide. Inside, cobweb-covered skeletons sit silently in the wooden pews. Levi examines a small vial held by a skeleton. He sniffs it and recognizes the smell of cyanide. These trapped people ended their own lives. Inside the dark church, a scuttling noise breaks the silence. Drossa shines her flashlight upward. A massive spider drops from the wooden rafters onto her. She crashes to the floorboards and shoves the creature away. Another spider immediately scurries toward her. Drossa quickly stabs it with her knife. Nearby, two more spiders lunge at Levi. He raises his rifle and guns them down. Dozens of spiders suddenly emerge from beneath the dusty pews. Both soldiers fire rapidly into the swarming horde. Drossa's weapon clicks empty. Levi steps forward to provide cover fire while she reloads. They attempt to retreat toward the main entrance. Without warning, the heavy doors burst open. Several hollow men charge inside. The soldiers must now fight the creeping spiders and the plant monsters. A hollow man tackles Drossa. She forcefully bashes its head against a wooden pew and throws it down. The spiders quickly swarm the downed creature. Levi grapples fiercely with another hollow man. He pushes it back and shoots it. Drossa then aims her grenade launcher at the wall. A massive explosion blasts an escape hole through the wood. The duo sprints through the foggy, burning forest. Screeches echo loudly behind them. Feeling exposed, they rush toward the gorge wall. They discover a concrete bunker covered in vines. Levi pushes the metal doors open and they slip inside. Thick roots snake through the dark interior. Deeper inside, they uncover an abandoned laboratory. Dust covers old glass beakers and a slumped skeleton. Drossa locates a control panel and flips a switch, restoring power. Levi and Drossa cautiously sweep their flashlights across the dark laboratory. Thick cobwebs cover the abandoned equipment. Skeletons rest slumped over the workbenches. Levi finds a metal film canister labeled "God Forgive Us." Drossa flips a switch on a dusty panel. She starts an old film projector. The black and white footage shows a female scientist. She states the date is July July 12, 1946, the base was built by a secret coalition during World War II. They developed destructive biochemical missiles. 6 days prior, an earthquake caused a toxic chemical leak. The scientists failed to contain the spill. The toxin quickly merged with the DNA of local plants and animals. The scientist unbuttons her lab coat. She reveals thick roots growing directly out of her stomach. She explains that prolonged exposure causes these severe mutations. Fortunately, the Gorge contained the threat. Levi and Drassa leave the projector and enter a dusty office. Levi powers on an old desktop computer. The screen flickers to life with a Dark Lake logo. This proves people returned long after the 1946 disaster. Levi opens a folder containing classified military documents. Dark Lake is a private defense corporation conducting illegal genetic research. The files detail a drone program for collecting hybrid DNA samples. They are using the mutations to engineer enhanced super soldiers. The watchtowers and guards exist solely to hide this operation. Levi opens a file named Stray Dog. It outlines a self-destruction protocol using a massive nuclear weapon. The bomb will completely incinerate the Gorge if the infection spreads. Levi tells Drassa the dangerous mission was worth meeting her. Suddenly, a long whip wraps tightly around Drassa's right ankle. A mutated rider pulls her rapidly through the dark forest. Drassa draws a sharp knife but drops it upon impact. She pulls a gun but cannot aim while sliding rapidly. Levi follows their trail and finds the large bomb facility. Inside, Drassa hangs helplessly by her wrists over a fire. The creature twists a branch stuck inside her bleeding stomach. She screams in pure agony as he rips it out. Drassa violently kicks his chest and frees her heavy chains. She hits the floor and grabs a rusted metal bar. The monster attacks again and easily overpowers her weak defenses. A strange snake suddenly strikes from the creature's open chest. Drassa acts fast and quickly slices the snake's head off. She throws the metal bar at the furious, roaring monster. He draws a sharp sword and aggressively chases her down. Drassa desperately grabs a bone shield and a flaming torch. She shoves the fiery stick straight into the monster's face. The creature shrieks wildly as flames quickly consume his body. Levi finally runs inside and shoots the burning monster dead. Drassa runs to Levi and they share a tight hug. Levi kneels to examine the dead creature's torn uniform. He spots a tag clearly reading P. Shaw. Levi realizes this monster was his tower's first guard. He reaches down and grabs the creature's long metal sword. The soldiers walk down a dark tunnel to leave. They enter a cavern filled with glowing orange roots. This is where the initial toxin leak actually happened. Mutated bodies are completely trapped inside the sticky substance. Levi and Drassa slowly cross a narrow metal bridge. Creepy breathing faces stick out from the gooey walls. Drassa accidentally steps on a root on the grate. She lifts her boot and the sticky goo stretches. The trapped bodies tear free and drop toward Drassa. Levi quickly swings his sword to slash the attacking roots. Larger monsters begin to wake up and roar loudly. Levi chops through the roots to clear a path. A fleshy whip shoots out and grabs his ankle. Levi falls hard onto the steel grate walkway. Drassa turns and aims her grenade launcher behind them. She fires a shot into the sticky root mass. A massive explosion completely engulfs the approaching creatures. Bright flames spread quickly across the entire fleshy structure. The duo reaches a metal staircase to finally escape. The duo spots an old garage in the foggy ruins. Drassa lowers a fresh battery into a parked military jeep. Levi quickly tightens the rusty battery clamps with a wrench. They drive the revived vehicle through the thick forest mist. Soon they locate a long cable hanging near a cliff. Levi crouches and ties the thick rope to the bumper. Tree-like monsters suddenly sprint out of the dark fog. Drassa shoots her assault rifle at the approaching swamp creatures. Her weapon clicks empty as another monster rushes toward them. Levi steps forward and slays the beast with his sword. Drassa takes the wheel and pulls a lever inside the cabin. The heavy jeep slowly drives straight up the steep wall. Several wooden monsters begin climbing the jagged rocks directly below. Another monster grabs Drassa through the shattered front windshield. She grabs an axe and firmly strikes the creature's head. A third beast suddenly yanks Levi out of the passenger seat. He desperately hangs onto the metal railing over the empty drop. Levi repeatedly stabs the vehicle's underside until fuel sprays out. He climbs back inside and lights a bright red flare. Levi tosses the glowing stick straight into the pouring gas. A massive explosion incinerates the monsters and ruins the jeep. Drassa and Levi immediately jump onto the rough cliff edge. Levi struggles with his leg while Drassa hoists him up. Drassa swings her axe and severs the thick towing cable. The burning vehicle plunges down to crush the remaining enemies. The exhausted pair hulls themselves over the edge. They make it back to the concrete tower. Inside the dim room, Drassa wraps a white bandage around his bloody arm. They decide to stay separated for 5 days. This acts as a strict quarantine against infection. He insists they must destroy the Gorge before running away. They step outside onto the balcony. The foggy canyon stretches out below them. He pulls her close for a gentle kiss. He softly tells her that he loves her. He quickly hooks his zipline gear to the metal cable. He jumps off the ledge to slide across. Later, he picks up the handset to call in for his daily check. Bartholomew unexpectedly answers from her Bright City office. She informs him that the bunker computer was recently activated. He calmly denies any knowledge. She assumes the soldier in the eastern tower went down. She strictly orders him to eliminate her. He tightly grips the microphone and agrees. In her office, she watches a computer screen. The bright monitor displays camera footage of both of them. She presses a button on her desk. She tells a military commander to prepare a strike team. Levi carefully attaches an explosive device to a large antenna. He He unwinds a wire spool while walking away from it. Nearby, Drassa writes a romantic message on a paper notepad. She holds the note up for him to clearly see. Levi smiles warmly while looking through his green binoculars. Suddenly, a dark military helicopter approaches them from the distance. The couple turns and flees into the dense forest. Bartholomew immediately deploys armed drones to hunt them down. A frantic and dangerous chase through the dark woods begins. Levi dives to the ground and shoots one drone down. Drassa takes cover behind a thick tree and destroys another. Reaching a high cliff, both take aim with their rifles. Their sniper shots successfully detonate the explosives planted earlier. A massive chain of fiery blasts destroys the cloaking network. A loud warning siren blares from a nearby concrete tower. Bartholomew and her commander quickly sprint toward the black helicopter. A massive nuclear fireball violently erupts from the deep gorge. The shockwave hits the escaping helicopter and sends it crashing. The powerful explosive force throws Levi off the high cliff. He falls helplessly down into the raging river far below. Later, Drassa sits alone by a fire inside a cave. She tearfully reads a folded note from Levi at sunset. Time passes and Drassa works at a sunny French restaurant. She walks outside to a restaurant patio table and stops. Levi sits calmly at the table holding a paper napkin. They smile happily at each other and share a passionate kiss. Thanks for watching.